To understand loops. So for loops, you can understand like an iterative task which you do. So like for an employee, what would be a what would be a kind of real-time loop? It will start its day. It will do its all daily needs like having a breakfast, bathing, doing some basic stuff in the morning. Then it will go to office. Then it will work 9 to 6. Then again come back to office. Then eat food, and then will it sleep. And again the next morning it will repeat the same cycle, right? So it's forming a loop. At least Monday to Friday he's in loop. He will do the same task. So in the similar fashion, so loop is something when you check upon a particular list, you can say a particular item in an iterative manner. You go to that particular sequence of events multiple times. Okay, so then we have a concept which is called as loops. So let me directly, yeah. So here also it mentioned iterating over a range, iterating over a string, and then we have examples called as while loop or nested loops. Okay, so let's first get ourselves comfortable with inbuilt function which is called as range in Python. So Python has number of inbuilt functions. So in the older languages, on low level languages, we need to create these functions. So what Python has done is Python has reduced this complexity for you. Okay, so here it has built inbuilt functions which are ready to use. Okay, so what does range means? Can I move this? Okay, yeah. What does range means? Range means if I hover my mouse, right, it's range means return an object. Okay, it will return something that produces a sequence of integers from start to stop, and there is something called step. So let me try to explain you. So how range works is, so you give something called as a start. Start means which number to start with. Then you have something called as a stop, and then you have something called as a step. Okay, start means from which value you want to start. Let's say you want to start from 0. Okay, then at which value you want to stop. Let's say you want to stop at 5, 0 to 5. And step means how much jump you want. Either you want 0 1 2 3 4 5, then there is no step. If you want like 0 and then you skip 1, then 2, and then you skip 3, then 4. So that step you can mention here. If you mention only single value, right, if you mention only single value like I did here, then it will just give you a value between 0 to 5. Okay, 0 to 5. We will use this in loops, then you will understand better. Okay, so let's get ourselves familiar with for loop. Okay, for I in range 5. So this is the syntax, by the way. So the syntax we had it here like if, right, if then a statement condition. Similarly fashion, you have this for syntax. For what is I now? I mean, for I means for this particular value in is an English word. For I, assume I as a variable. For I variable in range of 5. Okay, in range of 5. Remember, range of 5. Print I. So what will this do? Let's see. 0 1 2 3 4. How I got these values? Because of range. So what range was doing what range was doing is it was giving one value to this. So what it did was it did like this. It was 4. So first it gave 0. Okay, then in range 5. Let me control X. Let me do it down. Explain you. So first it did like this. Then what it did, this became 1. I became 1. Okay, then I became 2. Okay, then I became 3. Okay, then I became 4. Once I became 4, right, so whatever number you type here, right, because it starts from 0, so it will only go up to 4. Okay, because it started from 0, right, it didn't started from 1. And range always starts from 0. Okay, whatever the number you will give here, right, the stop point, this is kind of a stop point. The range will always produce one number less than that. So it will always produce 0 to 4. Okay, 4 is 1 less than 5, right? So it will always produce 1. If it would have been 10, let's say, okay, let me give 10 here. If it would have been 10, you see, it's only printing up to 9. So in the similar fashion, this I value is incrementing after every iteration. So it's iterating. How it is iterating? It is coming at this line. So let me take only up to 3 values, and then let me try to explain. When Python sees this line, right, for I in range 3. So what range will do is range will give one number from its range. What would be the first number? First number would be 0. Where this 0 will go? This 0 will go here. And then once this evaluation is done, it will print the value of I. Okay, what is the value of I in first iteration? It's 0. Okay, then again, there is no false condition, right? And range can still give another number. So it will again go to this line, again executing this line. Then range will give another number. First it gave 0, now it will give 1. It will give 1 here, then we are printing it. So 1 got printed. Then again is next line. We have a range. So let me take this 3. We have a range up to 3. Okay. Now again, what will do? What range will do? Range will again input another number which is called as a 2. So here 2 will come, and then it will print as an I. So it printed as 2. Okay. So this is how it is. This is how for loop works with range. Okay. So whatever the number you give here, right? 1 less that, it will start from 0. It will always start from 0. If I want to start it from another number, so let's say I want to start it from, let's say 2. Please start from 2 and go up to 10. I can do like this. If you see, it started from 2 and it is going only up to 9. Why it is going up to 9? Because whatever you give here, right? Whatever you give here, it will always print 1 less than that. So 9 is 1 less than 10. And if I want to use that step thing, so let's say step of 2. Okay, now you see 2, 4, 6, 8. It's taking steps. It's skipping the internal value. You can take step 3, 4 based on your requirement. Okay. So this is the syntax for loop. So remember to put a semicolon at the end of for loop. So what it says, you have to use a for as a keyword. Then you can use a variable I, and in what I'm telling, I in range of this. Okay, in this function, whatever the I value is there in this function, please print it. Okay. Let me see if, are you able to are you able to understand this function for loop, or if you are having any challenge, let me know. This is just Python syntax to work upon.
I think the first two examples are easy.
Sorry?
I think the first two examples on loops, range, on that loop, range, it's straightforward.
First two examples are straightforward, you're telling.
Yeah, it's straightforward. I think it's not difficult to understand.
Yeah. It's not that difficult to understand. So yeah, this is also the same example. It's just introducing you with the, what do you call, start, stop. This is stop value. So see, this is a step example. So start from 1, then up to 10, and then take a 2 step. Here, what it is doing is, you see -1. What is the effect of -1? What I'm telling is start from 10. Okay, start from 10, go up to 1, but -1. What -1 is telling? Go in reverse order. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And then whatever you print here, right? It will not print exactly that, but 1 less than that. I mean, if you go in reverse order, right? So here it has to print 1, right? But it will not print 1. It will only stop 1 less than that. So it stopped at 2. So you see, if you want to print up to 20, just put a 20 here. If you see, you got it. Okay. You just have to play around with this. You just have to get familiar yourself with this. When you enter this first line as a syntax, you must have a second line after this. Okay, in the similar fashion you have. When you have this line, you must have next line to evaluate. Okay, it could be a printf, it could be another for loop. Okay. So here it's a printf. There could be a chance where it could be another for loop. Okay. So again, yeah. So it's taking, so it's because it's -2, it's printing in reverse order, but with a step of 2. From 10 to 1 in reverse, because it's a negative value, but with a step of 2, 10, and then 8, then 6, then 4, then 2. Okay, for I in range. So if you see, the basic syntax stays the same. We are just changing or playing around with these values, right? Okay. Okay. So if you see these strings here, right? So let's say you have a string. Let's try to avoid the same name which is of. So we have a data type called as str, right? So I would suggest not to take the same names which already has some meaning in Python. Okay, so we should not take like this. We should not take a variable name as 4. Okay, and we should avoid taking str also. So let me just take str1 as, because str1 is not a keyword in Python. Okay, so let's say I typed couple MLOps here. Okay, and now I'm just doing this. So what it did is it iterated over this. How it iterated? It is printing one word, okay, one alphabet at a time, KAPIL, and then there was a space. So it added a space and then MLOps. Okay. So I didn't use range here. Okay. I use this string. So even I can iterate over a string. So what I'm doing this, what this operation is, it's iteration over what? Iteration over this variable. Here it was iteration over whom? It was iteration over range function. Here it is iteration over string str1 variable. What str1 has? Str1 has this text, so it could be any text. You see, so you can play around with this to have a understanding on this. Now there is another loop which is called as a while loop. Okay, in most of the cases, I mean, I would say in 80% of the cases, you can use for loop and while loop as a replacement to each other. I mean, it's up to you. If you want to use for loop, you can use for loop. If you want to use a while loop, you can use while loop. But in some cases, you might find like for loop is a better one. And in some cases, in 20% cases, you might find while loop is a better one. It's based on how you are thinking. Okay. While loop also has a syntax. Let's say the count is 0. A count is a variable and it has a value of 0. So I use a keyword which is called as while. Okay. While count is less than 5. So right now count is 0, right? So the condition is true. So you see the colon while. So while this condition is true, this condition is true, right? So let me write true. TRUE. If this condition is true, like we did with if else, if this condition is true, execute next line, right? If this is true, execute next line. Next line what? I mean, based on the indentation, whatever lines we have, if I have, let's say a line here, this will also get executed. This will also get executed because of the indentation. So whatever we have after this condition true, whatever we have as an indentation, right? All depends on this line. If this is false, nothing will execute. If this is true, these all lines will get executed based on the indentation. Okay. So this condition is true, my count is 0, and here I have written 5. If my count is 0, print count. Okay, and then what I'm doing is count is equal to count plus 1. I am adding count variable a 1 in it. So let me try to show you. If you see the output, so what is happening is in the first iteration, let's iterate it. Okay, iteration. Okay, so initially what was count? Initially count was 0. When count was 0, what was happening? This condition became true. It printed count, and count became count is equal to count plus 1. What is count is equal to count, count plus 1. Okay, let me fill the values. So count is equal to, what is the count value in this case? It's 0, right? So 0 plus 1. So what is 0 plus 1? This will make count as 1. Okay, so in the next iteration here, initially it was 0. So here in the next iteration, because it's a loop, right? It will keep on iterating. So what is the value of count here now? It's 1. Okay, it's 1. So if it's 1, what we have to do? Print the value of count, print the value of count. Again, count is count plus 1. So count is equal to count plus 1. What does that mean? Now my count is 1 and 1 plus 1 is what? 2. Okay. So now again, 2 is less than 5. This is true. Okay. Now what we have to do? Print 2. And after printing 2, increment count by 1. So what will happen if I increment count by 1? It will become 2. And 2 plus 1, it will become 3. In the similar fashion, it will move, right? Then again, count will become 4 here. Okay. So 4 is less than 5. And then this will be interesting. If count is 5, is 5 is less than 5? No, right? 5 is not less than 5. 5 is equal to 5. Okay. 5 is not less than 5. This condition became false. If the condition is false, what we have to do? We have to exit out at this line. Control will come here. And at this line, there is nothing, right? Let's say there was a statement at this line. What would happen now? After the count is reached to a condition where count is 5, then this line will get executed. You see, count finished. Okay. Are you able to understand the for loop, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. 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 Yeah. So there is something called as a break. It is also a keyword. So in this basic Python foundations, right, we are getting us familiar with different concepts in Python. Okay, we are making us more familiar with Python, so we can do more complex things with Python. We need to understand. So if I don't know English, right, I cannot make big sentences, essays, or paragraphs, or I cannot write emails, right? I need to get myself familiar with any language, whether it's English or French or German, any language. I have to get familiar with it, right? To get familiar with it, I have to practice it. Okay, so there is a keyword which is called as a break. Okay, so what does this mean? So this line you guys are already familiar with. Okay, let me take this as a 2. I will explain it in short format, and let me take this as a 5. Okay, so what for loop will do, what this range will do, initially range will give one number, right? So in the first iteration, what will happen in the first iteration? What will happen? Let's start here. In the first iteration, I will be equal to 0. Oh, yeah, range will give 0 as an output, right? Here, 0 as an output, right? So once we get 0 as an output, what will happen? This line will get evaluated. Okay, so what this line says, I is equal to 0, is I is equal to 2? No, right? False. Oh, 1 minute, I have to comment it out. False, right? This line is false. If this line is false, we will not execute this line. Okay, we will not execute immediately indented next line if this line is false. Okay, we will not execute this break. We will come out. What we will execute, we will execute this because it is in line with this if. Print I. Okay, so let me execute this. So what it did is initially I was 0, so it printed 0. So now what will happen in next iteration? Range will give what? Range will give 1. Okay, so now here I value is 1. If 1 is equal to 2, this is again false, right? 1 is not equal to 2, so this will not execute. Then it will print here. See, it will print 1. Okay, then in the next stage I will become 2, right? Because it's 5. So here I became 2. So this line completed. Then if 2 is equal to 2, is it 2 equal to 2? Yes, it's a true. If this statement is true, execute immediately next line, which is break. Break means come out of the loop, break the loop. Okay. Once the loop is breaked, where will the control come? Control will come to this line. Okay. It will not go again back to evaluate this. Okay. We had 5 here, but we broke the loop where? When I was equal to 2. Okay. It didn't printed anything. Even if I take 10 here, right? Let's say I took a 10. It will not make any difference in the output. Why it will not make any difference in the output? Because I am breaking when I is equal to 2. If I is equal to true, break out of the loop. How will it break out of the loop? It will not recheck this. It will not increment, or it will not allow this condition to be executed again. It will come. The control will come at this line after this print. Okay, this is what break will do. It will break the loop. Okay.
Copy. Say if I equals to 4. Let's say something.
Sure. Yeah.
I equals to 4.
Mhm. You want me to
Never.
execute?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
See.
Okay. Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. But yeah, I mean, when I
Yeah.
became 4, up to 3, it
Up
got
to 3
printed. But
can go.
when,
Yes.
yeah, after it broke out of the for loop. Okay. Okay, nice. Similarly, the way we have a break, right? So what break will do? Break will break the program execution, break the not the program execution, break the for loop execution, break this particular loop. It will break this loop, and it will come out of the control. The control will come out here. Remember, it will break the for loop. It will not break the code. If the code is something right at the top, at the bottom, right, the control will come here. The control will come outside of for loop. If there is a printf here, it will get executed. Why it will get executed? Because it only break the loop. It haven't break the, you can say, program. So there are certain keywords which can break the program also, but here in this case we are only breaking the loop. Okay, see, loop finished. Okay, so in the similar fashion I have continue. So the continue statement skips the current iteration and continues with the next. So this is interesting one. So you will have to also do like this, guys. Okay, the way I'm doing, you have to comment it out, you have to assume a value and then do. So you understood range, right? So what range will do? When the statement will get executed for the first time. For the first time, I will be 0. Okay, this line got executed. I will be 0. Then, if I do, uh, if I divide 1 divided by 2, if I do, what will happen? It will not be a complete, right? it will give me 0.5, right? So 0.5 is not equal to 0, right? So this condition is false. Then this condition, if this condition is false, then what we have to do, we do not have to execute this line, we have to print it. So when, oh, 1 minute. It's 0. Okay. Sorry. Okay. First, see, in the first iteration, let me do like this. Okay. I'm starting from beginning. In the first iteration, I is equal to is 0. 0 modulus 2 will be 0. Okay. If you divide 0 by 2, right? Say 0 divided by 2, it will give you a 0. So this condition becomes true, right? If this condition becomes true, execute this line. Continue. What continue does is continue is telling, please, please do not execute next line. Do not execute this. Continue to this thing. Okay. You got my point. So from control reaching to this line, control will again reach to this line. Okay. This is the important thing. When I was equal to 0 initially, and this condition became true, it executed continue. What continue did was it again continued the loop. It again make the control. So earlier you say, let's say the cursor was here. You see the blinking cursor. Now the cursor is here. It will again execute this line. Or you can say cursor is here. It will again execute this line. What we were doing in break, when the cursor was here and this condition became true, and when it executed this break statement, we came out of this loop, right? We reached out to this point. We didn't reach out to this point. We reached out to this print. We didn't reach back to the loop. Okay. But now what is happening is when this line got executed, this became true. When we trying to execute the continue statement, our control reach back to this point. Okay. The cursor or control will reach back to this point. If the control again reach back to this point, again, this condition will be evaluated. Now what is I? I is 1. Okay. And 1 divided by 2, it's 0.5. So it's a false condition, right? If this condition is false, then do not execute this. Just print the value. So I is 1 is printed. I is equal to 0 is not printed. Why is not printed? Because initially it was true and it continued. But because now I is 1, it got printed because this condition became false. Now let's take another. Now I is equal to 2. Okay. I is equal to 2. If I modulus 2 is equal to 0, what will happen? This condition became true. If this condition becomes true, continue. Continue with what it will do. It will tell, please do not execute this line. Get back the control to this first line. Okay. If the control get back to this line, 2 will not be get printed, right? And then again, range will provide another number. So now I is equal to 3. So 3 is not divisible by 2, we will not get 0. So again, this condition becomes false. If this condition is false, print the value of I. What is the value of I? It's 3. Okay. In the similar fashion, it will keep on executing. Okay. How long it will execute? 10 less than 1. It's 9. Okay.
Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed our session at LWP Labs. For more videos like this, you can subscribe to our channel and contact the number for live classes. The future is now with AI.